Imagine you're just, sitting in your living room. You're grieving the recent loss of your dad. And out of nowhere, there's this loud knock at your front door.
Oh, man, that's never good.
Right. So you open it up and you find corporate investigators from literally one of the biggest video game publishers on Earth. And they are demanding to know if you are the mastermind behind a multi-billion-dollar cyber attack.
Which is just wild to even picture.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, the only reason they're on your porch in the first place, you just made a lucky random guess on a Reddit forum.
I mean, it sounds like some kind of paranoid thriller movie, but that exact scenario is, well, it's the reality of our current digital landscape. The boundaries are they're gone.
Yeah, and that is exactly the core of what we are digging into today for this deep dive. We are looking at this massive wave of internet chaos. Specifically, we're focusing on what happens when digital actions, when they smack headfirst into real-world consequences.
Right, when the digital shield kind of breaks down.
Exactly, and our sources today are transcripts of some pretty wild internet news stories that were originally compiled and covered on a YouTube series called Slop Live.
Which is a great series.
It is. And while that show wraps these stories in, a really thick layer of deadpan internet irony, the actual events they are documenting are just genuinely staggering.
Yeah, they really are.
We're talking about the biggest video game leak in history, these bizarre corporate cover-ups using artificial intelligence. And what happens when notoriously toxic internet figures just decide they want to be famous in real life?
It's a fascinating cross-section of modern behavior, really, because for decades, we've kind of treated the internet like a one-way mirror. You do your business online, you close the laptop, and you are totally safe in the physical world. But these sources prove that the mirror is, it's entirely shattered.
And the shards are cutting everyone involved. So let's start with the most expensive shattered mirror on our list, which is the Grand Theft Auto 6 mega leak.
Right, a massive story.
I know this was big, but can you kind of walk us through the actual scale of what happened here? Because it wasn't just like a few screenshots, right?
Oh, not at all. No, Rockstar Games, the developer behind Grand Theft Auto, they suffered a catastrophic breach. So this hacker, known online as CyberLeak, they got their hands on an internal 2023 development build of GTA 6.
Which is like the holy grail for leakers.
Exactly. And they leaked dozens of clips showing core mechanics. So we saw like interactive in-game stores, a radio playing a song from 2025, and structural debug menus.
Wow.
Yeah, and the immediate financial fallout was just brutal. The parent company, Take-Two Interactive, they lost roughly $2.8 billion in market value almost overnight.
Billion with a B.
Billion with a B. Investors just panicked over the security breach.
Okay, let's unpack this because the craziest part to me is the narrative this hacker tried to spin.
Oh yeah, the manifesto.
Right. CyberLeak didn't just dump the files and run away. They posted this whole manifesto claiming they were a vigilante fighting for, quote, gamers' rights.
Yeah, positioning themselves as a hero.
Yeah, they explicitly protested Rockstar's modern business models. Like, charging $100 for digital-only pre-orders that basically give players nothing but a cosmetic skin and a countdown timer.
Right. And they demanded a public apology from Rockstar and this whole commitment to better business practices before they would stop leaking the files.
But hold on, I have to push back on taking that at face value. Is there any chance this was a genuine, albeit deeply misguided, protest? Because to me, it feels like a bank robber claiming they are only emptying the vault to protest the bank's unfair overdraft fees, all while selling tickets to watch the robbery.
Yeah, no, your skepticism is entirely warranted. The whole Robin Hood defense was purely a smokescreen. What's fascinating here is the evolution of cybercrime.
How so?
Well, 10 years ago, a hacker pulling this off would have done it purely for clout on some dark web forum, right?
Yeah!
They just wanted the bragging rights. But today, it's all about instant, untraceable monetization.
Oh, so they were cashing in.
Big time. The leaker wasn't just fighting for gamers. They were watermarking every single leaked video with links and QR codes directing viewers to buy a specific crypto meme coin that they had created.
So they basically weaponized genuine gamer frustration just to pump up a scam coin.
Exactly. And mechanically, it was highly sophisticated. They didn't just hold the crypto and hope the price went up. They actually burned their own supply of the coin.
Wait, I'm confused. Why would you destroy your own supply if you're trying to get rich? That doesn't make sense.
It sounds counterintuitive, yeah. But in the crypto world, if the creator holds a massive amount of the supply, buyers get really spooked. They think the creator will just cash out and crash the price.
Oh, like a rug pull.
Exactly, classic rug pull. So by burning their supply, the hacker guaranteed they would only profit from the transaction fees every time someone else bought or sold the coin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it completely removes the volatility risk. The transcripts estimate they made about $50,000 just in those fees, while still holding another wallet with about $400,000 in unsold tokens.
That is just diabolical. And they just kept feeding the frenzy to drive up those transaction numbers, right? I read they ran a 14-hour paid poll to decide what got leaked next.
Yes, and crucially, you had to pay to vote using their specific meme coin.
Of course he did.
It creates this psychological sunk cost loop.
Mm-hmm.
People are so desperate for information about this game that they willingly buy into an obvious financial grift just to participate.
That is wild.
And it gets crazier. When the total value of all those circulating coins, the market cap, hit $3 million, the hacker celebrated by releasing leaked strip club footage from the game.
You're kidding.
No. And the market cap eventually skyrocketed to $30 million. They even started offering in-video ad placements on the leaks for $164,000 a pop.
But surely you can't run a highly public, interactive extortion campaign involving millions of dollars and expect to just fade back into the shadows. I mean, that kind of digital footprint has to attract real-world heat.
Which is exactly what happened. I mean, when you evaporate nearly $3 billion of corporate value, the legal response is going to be scorched earth. But the problem is, how does a traditional corporation hunt a digital ghost?
Right. Do they just start throwing legal darts in the dark?
Precisely. The legal system is incredibly clumsy when dealing with anonymous, decentralized networks. Take-Two Interactive didn't have an IP address or physical door to kick down, so they just started subpoenaing the entire neighborhood.
Wow.
They served legal demands to Microsoft and Discord, demanding user data, IP addresses, and linked phone numbers for a massive swath of accounts.
And this is where the collateral damage comes in, right? Because they subpoenaed the Discord server of a popular gaming YouTuber, Dark Viper AU, who had absolutely nothing to do with it.
Right, completely innocent bystander.
Yeah, he had to publicly defend himself because the corporate dragnet was just scooping up anyone tangentially related to the GTA community.
And that corporate panic, it filters down to the community, breeding a very specific kind of online vigilantism. Rumors started flying everywhere. One major rumor claims CyberLeak had a kill switch.
A kill switch? Like what?
Like a program that would automatically release the game's entire source code if the hacker stopped logging in.
Which is completely fake, but actual legitimate gaming news sites published it as fact. I don't understand how professional journalists fall for that.
Because the modern internet ecosystem prioritizes speed over verification. If a massive story is trending, sites feel immense pressure to capture that search traffic.
Right, they just want the clicks.
Exactly. One site later admitted they failed to even check the hacker's own website to verify the claim. But by then, the hysteria had peaked and the internet was out for blood.
Which brings us back to the guy I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, the tragedy of the Redditor known as Pilot 1970. This blew my mind.
It is the ultimate example of digital paranoia ruining a physical life. Walk me through what the internet thought he did.
Okay, so a month before the mega leak, Pilot 1970 posts on a GTA Reddit forum. He says, August 18th, don't ask me how I know.
A very cryptic sounding post.
Right, but he was actually just making a harmless prediction about when the game's third trailer might drop. But by pure, terrible statistical luck, August 18th ended up being the exact day the hacker dumped the massive gameplay leak.
A coincidence? But the internet doesn't believe in coincidences during a crisis.
Never. The community sleuths immediately assumed he was the hacker. And this is where we have to talk about doxing. Because Pilot 1970 didn't hide his digital breadcrumbs very well. His Twitter handle actually included his real name.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So the internet doxed him. They pieced together his online identity, found his real-world address, and published it. And because it got so much traction online, actual representatives from Rockstar Games showed up at his physical front door.
That is just terrifying. That moment where the digital mob suddenly manifests as two corporate investigators in your living room.
Pilot 1970 actually recorded over 10 minutes of footage with them to prove his innocence. You can hear the investigator, a guy named David, essentially saying they aren't looking to force a confession, but they are grilling him on specific online aliases.
Just putting the pressure on.
Yeah, and the kid is just desperately explaining it was a lucky guess. But the internet is so deeply cynical. When he posted the video to clear his name, people accused him of faking it.
Of course they did.
They said he just hired an actor, Or worse, that he used his own dad to play the investigator.
Which prompted a genuinely heartbreaking response from him.
Yeah, it really did. He had to log back on and explain to these thousands of rabid strangers that his dad had actually passed away earlier that year. The internet stripped away all his humanity in a matter of hours.
It's awful.
And to make it worse, the crypto vultures swooped in. While he was trending, they convinced him to launch his own meme coin based on his trauma, promising him some quick cash to make up for the harassment.
And by doing that, he instantly validated all of his critics.
Completely. Suddenly, everyone assumed his entire ordeal with the investigators was just an elaborate marketing stunt for a scam. He got doxxed, traumatized, and then corrupted by the very system that attacked him.
It perfectly illustrates how toxic the ecosystem is.
Yeah.
The promise of quick anonymous wealth acts as an accelerant for the worst kinds of behavior. But what's ironic is that the original hacker's anonymity might be completely compromised by that very same crypto system.
Yes. Let's talk about the VPN cutscene. The hacker specifically leaked an in-game cutscene where a character says, "They don't know nothing about me, man, I use a VPN."
Right, it was a blatant taunt.
But if you look at the actual mechanisms of how he cashed out, that taunt might be his downfall, right?
Most likely, yeah. A VPN, a virtual private network, it masks your IP address so your internet traffic can't be easily traced. It's a digital shield. But internet sleuths trace the hacker's meme coin transactions back to an account on a specific crypto exchange called Kcoin.
Okay.
And Kcoin operates under strict financial regulations.
Meaning they require KYC.
Exactly. KYC stands for Know Your Customer. It's a banking regulation designed to prevent money laundering. If you want to turn anonymous crypto into usable, real-world fiat money on these major exchanges, you have to upload a government-issued photo ID.
Wow. So if authorities just subpoena Kcoin?
If he used an account registered in his own name or even a carelessly obtained fake ID linked to real addresses, the digital shield is gone. The data has to touch a real-world regulated entity eventually. People place far too much faith in the anonymity of software, failing to realize that money always leaves a physical paper trail.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. It's not just rogue cybercriminals hiding behind digital smoke and mirrors. We are saying legitimate, above-board corporations trying to use digital tools to fake reality and getting caught just as spectacularly.
Oh, you're referring to the AI art cover-ups.
Yes. So there's this 1990s video game character called James Pond. He's literally a secret agent fish in a tuxedo. A studio announced a remaster of the game, and when the promotional art dropped, the internet immediately revolted. They called it out as blatantly AI-generated.
I have to ask, were people just being overly critical, or were the visual tells actually that obvious?
Oh, they were painfully obvious. The overall image had this distinct, glossy, slightly sickly lighting that the internet affectionately calls a piss filter.
Classic AI look.
Yeah, but the details are what gave it away. There was a cow in the background holding what appeared to be a milk bottle cannon.
A milk bottle cannon.
Yes. And the 3D elements in the image were just randomly missing horns on one side.
Which makes perfect sense technically, right?
Yeah.
Generative AI doesn't understand object permanence or logic. It just blends visual patterns based on its training data.
Yeah.
It doesn't know a cow has two horns. It just knows that pixels resembling horns often appear near pixels resembling cows.
Right. But instead of owning up to it, the developers went into fierce denial. They explicitly claimed no generative AI was used, insisting it was all traditional digital illustration. And I love this part. They actually posted a step-by-step process image to prove their innocence. It showed a rough sketch, a 3D blockout, and then the final polished art.
Let me guess. The internet reverse-engineered the fake process.
Instantly. It's my favorite analogy of this whole deep dive. It's like a student handing in an essay entirely generated by ChatGPT, getting accused of cheating, and then staying up all night frantically writing a messy, fake rough draft to prove they did the work.
But when you fake the rough draft, you introduce impossible flaws.
Exactly. The internet noticed that their supposed intermediate 3D render step was inexplicably missing parts of the image that did appear in the final, proving they had just taken the final AI image and clumsily erased parts of it in Photoshop to fake a workflow.
That is embarrassing.
They got roasted so hard they eventually had to backpedal, admitting they used, quote, algorithm-assisted tools at an intermediate stage.
Algorithm-assisted tools. That's some good corporate speak right there.
Right. But let me play devil's advocate here for a second. Are we sure this isn't just Luddite panic? If an AI can generate a highly polished image in 5 seconds that would take a human artist a week, why does the audience care so much if there's a weird cow cannon in the background?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, It reveals a fundamental shift in what audiences actually value. For the last 2 decades, the digital space has aggressively prioritized polish. High resolution, flawless textures, perfect lighting.
Right.
But now that AI can provide infinite instantaneous polish for pennies, that polish has lost its value. It feels hollow. The audience didn't just reject the weird cow, they rejected the lack of human intent.
So you're saying effort is becoming the new premium product?
Exactly. And the perfect counterexample happened around the exact same time over in China. There was an animated movie released called New Light, also translated as Here Comes the Cow. It was created by a mother and son duo over the course of 5 years.
And let me jump in here because I saw clips of this. The animation is terrible. It's objectively bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's jittery. The models are weird. It looks like an early 2000s screensaver.
It does. And initially, it was a massive flop. In its first week, it played to a couple hundred people and made maybe $1,000.
But then the internet found it. And they didn't mock it. It went wildly viral, specifically because people realized it was an earnest, painstakingly human effort. A mother and son spent 5 years of their lives hand-keying this terrible animation.
Because the intention mattered more than the execution.
It ended up grossing 14 million yuan, which is about $2 million US. It got so popular that local cinemas, which hadn't even been given official marketing materials by the studio, started hand-drawing their own promotional posters to put in the lobbies.
That's amazing.
I saw one comment online that just perfectly summed up this entire cultural moment. A user wrote, "I will respect the most doggish animation done by humans than the most polished animation done by AI."
It's a profound piece of art criticism, really. It proves that human struggle, complete with its flaws and dog-ass execution, creates a connection that artificial perfection simply cannot replicate.
So what does this all mean? We've got hackers failing to hide behind VPNs and corporations failing to hide behind AI. The digital shield always cracks. But what happens when people want the shield to drop? Why do notorious internet figures, people with massive amounts of negative digital baggage, willingly step into the real world?
This raises an important question about the delusion of digital fame. People who spend their lives dominating online spaces, they begin to mistake their digital control for physical invulnerability.
Let's talk about the EDP documentary, because this is chilling. EDP is a highly infamous internet personality. For years, he has faced extremely disturbing, highly publicized allegations regarding minors.
Right.
But because it all happened in this murky online space, he had never faced any formal legal punishment. So a filmmaker named Mike Klum approaches him to do a high-production documentary, and EDP he agrees.
He willingly sat in front of high-definition cameras, completely underestimating the stakes.
The documentary gets almost 6 million views. At the very end, the filmmaker confronts EDP on camera with blatant, undeniable proof of his crimes. Text messages, chat logs, everything. And EDP's response is to just laugh, look directly at the lens and say, "I plead the fifth."
He treated a real-world confrontation like he was just dismissing a hater in a YouTube comment section. He thought he could just ban the user and move on.
But the real world doesn't have a block button. Because he willingly sat down and admitted to certain details on camera, the local district attorney's office announced they are officially reopening his case. They can legally charge him until 2027, and he literally handed them fresh, admissible evidence on a silver platter.
The physical justice system is slow, but it is real. Contrast that with how the digital platforms handle it.
Right, I was so confused by this part. After the documentary dropped, YouTube actually took action, but they banned the filmmaker's second channel, which was hosting unused, behind-the-scenes footage. They cited harassment. Why on earth would the algorithm protect the predator and punish the documentarian?
Because algorithms lack human nuance. They operate on rigid, unthinking parameters. If a system sees a mass influx of reports or flagged keywords regarding a specific channel, it just executes a ban. It doesn't understand investigative journalism. It proves that digital platforms are fundamentally unequipped to administer real-world justice.
The delusion of power is just staggering, and it happens on a smaller, arguably more pathetic scale, too. Let's look at the Reddit moderator story from San Francisco.
Ah, yes, the attempt to manifest forum authority in a physical space.
This guy was a notorious moderator for a major subreddit. He had previously gone viral for this massive ego trip, unironically demanding that Reddit mods be treated like celebrities or influencers, claiming they wield real power. So Reddit hosts an official in-real-life meetup for moderators in San Francisco, and this guy decides to show up completely uninvited.
And how did his real power hold up?
He claimed he wore a hat so he wouldn't be swarmed by his adoring fans.
Oh my gosh.
But when he walked into the venue, there were no fans. There were actual physical security guards. Because he wasn't on the list, they made him wait in the lobby and then promptly kicked him out onto the street.
It is the starkest reminder that you cannot bring your digital avatar into the physical world. Online, as a moderator, he is a god. He can mute dissent, ban critics, and control the entire environment. When he stepped into that building in San Francisco, he was just a guy without a name tag.
And the consequences followed him back through the mirror. He woke up the next day to find his main account, and over 20 of his alternate burner accounts permanently IP banned from the platform.
Wow.
But worse than that, because of his little security breach, Reddit management canceled all future in-real-life mod events in Los Angeles and Amsterdam. His physical entitlement ruined a global event for everyone else.
Hubris always carries a cost. And pulling all these threads together, the overarching theme of these sources is the inescapable nature of accountability.
Exactly. We've seen a crypto scammer try to hide behind a VPN, only to realize banking laws still apply to him. We've seen developers try to fake human effort with AI, only to learn that audiences can smell the lack of a soul.
Right.
And we've seen internet personalities, completely blinded by their own echo chambers, willingly walk into real-world buzzsaws, whether that's a district attorney or a San Francisco security guard.
The internet was constructed as a decentralized, largely anonymous playground. But the infrastructure of the real world, the legal systems, the financial regulations, and the cultural demands for authenticity is rapidly wrapping its arms around it and squeezing hard.
Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to chew on as we wrap up today's deep dive. As our digital footprints become undeniably permanent, as KYC financial laws tighten, and as audiences become hyper-vigilant against artificial content, are we rapidly approaching an era where the very concept of internet anonymity is completely dead?
The walls are definitely closing in. The days of operating entirely in the shadows without consequence are ending.
And if that's true, we have to ask, will the death of anonymity finally cure the internet of its worst toxicity? Will knowing that every post, every leak, and every moderation ban is tied to your physical identity force people to finally behave? Or will it just force the chaos to evolve into something much darker, much more sophisticated, and much harder to track? Because if there's one thing we've learned today, it's that you can't just close your laptop to escape anymore. The glass between the digital and physical world is everywhere, and we are all walking on it. Something to think about next time you log on.